Time for another riveting edition of the Kaufman Corner podcast with you as always, David Lesky, Soren Petro. We're talking Royals baseball, winning road trip out on the West Coast, sweep of the Seattle Mariners. How high is the confidence in this team right now? How high should it be? Was today's 3-run fourth inning luck or skill? I'm going to get into that inning. What it meant to get 3 runs, a 3-run rally with no hits. Vinnie is hitting, speaking of hitting. How good is this bullpen? Cole Ragans home road splits. What do they mean? Should the Royals be platooning Carter Jensen and Jack Caglianone? Jonathan India is done for the year. Good news, bad news. What does it all mean? What does the Jonathan India, era of Royals baseball teach us? And Kylie McDaniel put out his top 10 prospects for each team. We'll take a look at how he ranks the Royals prospects right here, right now on the Kaufman Corner podcast.
You're listening to the Kaufman Corner Podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Royals, breaking down the Royals like no one else can. Kaufman Corner is hosted by David Lesky and Soren Petro. David Lesky is an accomplished author and the publisher of the Inside the Crown Royals baseball newsletter. Soren is the award-winning afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. Kaufman Corner is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are your hosts, David Lesky and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. Off and running here on a Sunday night. Remember, if you're catching us via the podcast, you can be a part of the conversation. Already got people lined up in the chat room. Get your thoughts, your opinions shared with your fellow Royals fans. We do it every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Central. So make your plans to join us next week if you are hearing us later in the week. David, the Royals, after sputtering through a couple of losses to the Oakland A's, or Sacramento A's, as I like to call them, the Royals then get a nice tidy sweep of the Seattle Mariners. 4-2 road trip. We were talking about 3-3. That's what we wanted to see after 1-2 to the A's. Boy, 2-4. Felt like, or maybe even like you're creeping in like a 1-5 was maybe starting to creep in. Instead, they turned things around in Seattle and went 3 in a row. Where should the confidence level be on this team?
Pretty high. The Mariners, they're 3 games under now. They had gotten to 500 right when the Royals came to town, but that's from winning 6 of 7. And I think it's fair to look at this Mariners team and say it's a good team, record be damned, because they went to Game 7 of the ALCS last year. They brought back the team largely. Great pitching generally. The offense looked really good last year. Now they do start slow, so it's good to catch them this time of year, I feel like. I think that's a benefit to get Seattle early in the season. But again, they were hot. They'd won 6 of 7, mostly on the road, and they were really good at home prior to the Royals being there. So I think it's a great series. I mean, a series win would have been great. A sweep is phenomenal. And it's hard to sweep a series. It's really hard to sweep a series on the road. It's really hard to sweep a series on the road from a good team. So, yeah, I feel good about it.
When you go 1-2 against the A's, it's not what you're striving for, right? It's not what you want to do. But when you have a sweep of the Angels on one side and a sweep of the Mariners on the other, it's easy to look at that and say, well, that's baseball. You're not going to win every single series, right? The Royals had so little success when they fell to the low water mark of 7-16.
7-16,
I think was the lowest point on the season. That even with their 4-game winning streak, their first streak, we say in the program you have to get to 4 for it to officially be a streak. The first 4-game winning streak of the year that it was easy to have the doubts creep back in, but now you turn around and put these 3 wins together against a Seattle team that's very competitive, that frankly should be better than their record, right? A lot of people had them going very, very far. And there are a lot of things to like about the Mariners. Did Cal Raleigh not play for a couple of games? Yeah, but you know what? Jonathan India is done for the year. Vinnie Pasquantino's battling a bad back. Carlos Estevez has been out since the opening game of
second game,
the year. Yeah, so I mean, everybody's like, injuries start to happen. You run what you brung. and the Royals were able to get the sweep, and now they've won 7 out of 10. And so that's a,
8 of 11 if you want to go farther. They're 8-3 since the losing streak ended. So
okay.
it's hard. You can't be upset about it. I mean, this is the team we thought we were going to see, and time will tell if they dug too big of a hole. But they're 2.5 games out with, what are they, 15 until 128 games to play. There is nothing off the table for this team, and that's with a 7-16 start. Would you have yes, the 8-game losing streak, for example, there were 4 games they probably should have won in that streak. You win 2 of them and you're 500, but they didn't. It's over. Now they've got to claw back, and so far they are. And I want to come back to the point you made that sometimes you just don't win series. I think that's so important, because I think that when you watch a team lose games every single night, like we were watching for the first 3-4 weeks of the season, it feels like every loss is here we go again. But the reality is baseball is failure. And I think about a lot that from a team perspective, the team with the most wins ever lost 46 times. The 2001 Mariners went 116-46. They lost 46 times. There will be losses. There will be strikeouts. There will be flyouts on 3-0 pitch that you go, why were you swinging it? If they can keep up, and 8-3 is a lot to ask every 11 games. So let's, but if they can keep up winning series, splitting road trips, 3-3, if they'd gone 3-3 on this road trip, like you said, we would have been happy with it, no matter how they got there. If they can keep that up, they're going to lose a game. It's okay. It happens, as long as they don't fall back into that abyss.
Yeah. And I think that's the important part, is to not fall apart on, okay, we went 1-2. Oh, woe was us. We're terrible. We thought we were good, but we're not. Let's hang our head. I'll tell you, I thought, amongst Royals fans, that's where Royals fans were. Fortunately, the ball club was not. Fortunately, the ball club had more confidence, and they, were able to put it behind them and start playing good baseball again. And I think, I'll kind of dovetail into that fourth inning. I said they scored 3 runs without a hit. I mean, they got on base with hits, but the actual runs coming across came without hits. Bobby Witt Jr. singled to center. Pasquantino singled to right. Witt goes to third. Perez hit by pitch. Pasquantino second. So now the bases are loaded. Then a Carter Jensen walk, drives in a run. Jack Caglianone grounds into a fielder's choice to first base. That drives in a run. And then Isaac Collins hits a sac fly to center field. They get 3 runs. Is that skill? Is that luck? Is that the Mariners stink? What's your view of when that was the ball game right there, right?
Yeah.
The pitching of Chris Bubich in the bullpen, which we'll get more into the bullpen a little bit later on. But that, as far as the Royals offense went, that was the game. And it was, not pretty. It was effective, but it wasn't pretty. Is that luck?
No.
Is that a greasy win, as Danny Klinkskill used to call him when the Royals started turning the corner back in 2013, 2014? What is that? What do you make of that?
Mostly greasy, which is good. Greasy's a good thing. I think that I'm with Danny on that. I think it's a good thing to get there. The Carter Jensen walk was absolutely a good thing, because he's on the struggle bus, and he did walked again later in the game. So you wonder, okay, is it starting to turn? Is he seeing pitches better? Because a lot of times you see a guy, they'll walk a couple times and then start to hit again. So hopefully that'll come back once they get back home tomorrow. But that was a really good walk, because he was down on the count. He had been swinging and missing. 2 strikes meant strikeout for Carter Jensen. And the 1-2 pitch was not close, easy take. The 2-2 pitch was not close, easy take. But he fouled off a fastball. Luis Castillo, I don't care how much he struggled. That ball, he looks like hell to hit, honestly. I mean, I can't imagine having to hit him. And he fouled a fastball off.
I will say this: Luis Castillo sucks. Okay,
he does, but the movement is still nasty. It doesn't look fun.
That's where I was going to go next. To your point, I don't know why he sucks.
Yeah,
he's still up at 95 miles per hour. But I mean, there's been this this trend of him getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
I know because I'm stuck with him on my fantasy team.
I was gonna say, I guarantee you he's on one of your fantasy teams.
Yeah, on a no-cut contract, right?
Oh,
and I
lovely.
absorbed the contract to get Jack Caglianone last year, right? That was
Okay.
and I was rebuilding, and I absorbed that contract to get Jack Caglianone, and we have multiple years, and he's cheap, and so on and so forth. Anyway, but so I watched him closely, waiting for him to get back to being what he was, and I don't know why he's not better, but he sucks. But this inning, to me, this inning is skill, not luck.
I'm mostly the only thing that I will. Well, no, I was going to say the Caglianone fielder's choice, but he knew if he put the ball in play, he was likely to score a run, and then he booked it down the line. Good for him. And the Isaac Collins pretty clearly was just trying to get the ball in the air. Now, would have been a little bit less stressful to watch if he had gotten a little farther in the outfield and not gotten Salvi having to put every ounce of his like 19.8 feet per second sprint speed. It's much higher than that actually, but still very slow to the test and make a great slide. But he got that job done too. And that's the Royals were not just struggling getting hits; they were struggling getting productive outs with runners in scoring position. And they put 3 on base with nobody out, and all 3 of them scored. You can't complain about that.
Well, and let me also add that not listed, if you look at the play-by-play, not listed in there on the Salvador Perez run scored is originally called out a successful challenge by the Royals, overturns the call, and they get a 3rd run. And, that speaks to this is what professional organizations do. If you have to get them out. If you give them extra outs, they're going to make you pay. They're good. They're run really well. Bill Duplessis very good. It's the best at the video replay.
Yeah.
That whole everyone, and I'm sure I'm leaving out some other people that are in that mix, but they're outstanding at it. They're now 10-1 on the year on challenging those things. So that's a sign of a good organization. And when you let them clog the bases, and then you don't get outs, they make you pay. And so Carter Jensen, this isn't the first walk he's drawn all year. So, that's a success. Caglianone is putting the ball in play. He at least put it in play. He didn't strike out, right? I'd love a home run there, but he put the ball in play.
Sure.
And Collins, hey, let's tack on. Tack on runs are big. Collins did that the other night too. Didn't he have a sack on Friday or Saturday night? I think he had
or maybe it was one. I can't remember what it was, but yes,
or on somebody else's sack fly. I can't remember. I thought it was him that got it.
Yeah,
got the ball in the air and got a run home. So, yeah, this is what professional teams do. This is, how you end up looking good, in my opinion. Yeah. And so, yeah, how much confidence should there be in this team? I think a lot. I mean, they're creeping ever closer to 500, but a lot of the things that we thought they would do, they're now doing. And so them becoming themselves, them fulfilling the potential that they have is just them being the club they're supposed to be. And the longer they do it, the more it becomes clear that the part that doesn't jive, the part that doesn't fit is early in the year when they were playing so bad.
Yeah, agreed. And I think one thing that, we're both Quatrero fans, obviously. I think he's a good manager. You think he's a good manager. A lot of people don't. I don't really understand that viewpoint, but it is what it is. But one of the biggest things that a manager does, and this is the coaching staff and veteran leaders on the team, is they're resilient. They promote resiliency, I think is something that good leaders do. If you're trying to argue the Royals aren't resilient, you're just lying. I mean, think about some of these games that they've played. And first of all, 8-game losing streak, and then come back and go 8-3. That alone, right there. But then last Sunday, that game, the walk-off, that's crazy. The game in Detroit, they ended up losing. That's resilience. Coming back from a bad loss against Baltimore and winning the next night is resilience. I mean, we have seen this time and time again from this team. There's the leadership on this club is clearly excellent to be able to take these body blows and just come back the next day or the next inning or later that day. And they're not going to win all of them. And maybe in the end, we look back and we go, they just weren't good enough. Like they just weren't good enough. It is what it is. But what we're watching is a team that has been knocked down and keeps getting up. And I think that I think the management and the leadership of this team, whether it's Quatrero and Paul Hoover or Vinnie Pasquantino and Salvador Perez, or a combination of all of it, I think they need to be lauded for that because it's really important.
Yeah, I agree. A couple of comments from the chat room. Again, if you're catching us via the podcast, you can be a part of the conversation. This one, Aiden, should Daniel Lynch be in the circle of trust for Q? He got the save.
I think
I
he is.
think he's there. I think I know what you mean, Aiden. I think you're saying like even more so. Should he be the primary setup guy? And maybe, yeah. I think we're trending that direction. I think he's getting there. I was talking with some people about why he's so much better. And, I mean, he's gotten away from throwing his fastball. His slider's gotten better. Really, he's perfected kind of all of his pitches. He's just kind of polished them all up.
Mhm.
We talked a little bit about that, I think, last week, maybe. We talked about it Monday. I think on the radio show.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it was.
And so yeah, I think he's headed in the right direction for sure. I like this one. Comment said, why does everyone hate platoons? Marte and Lane have both done their job, and I would agree. I mean, I don't know that everybody does, but I think I don't think everybody does hate him, and we're going to get into the platoon part on Carter Jensen and Jack Caglianone in a minute, but I just think that it all looks better when guys hit and when the team pitches, right? When that happens, it all looks a lot better, and I think that's
when they play well, it looks good.
Yes, yeah. Funny how that works.
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening right now, in my opinion. All right, we'll take a quick break, and then we'll get into Vinny hitting the baseball now, what that means for the Royals. Also, how good is the bullpen? We'll talk about it after you hear from our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Concrete season is in full swing, and asphalt paving is revving up. So right now is the time to get your property on the schedule with Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Whether you need new concrete work, a parking lot repaved, crack filling, seal coating, or full asphalt installation, their experienced crews handle it all right here in Kansas City. Don't wait until the rush hits. Call today for a free bid and secure your spot before the calendar fills up. Get the process started right now at GannAsphalt.com. That's GannAsphalt.com. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots. Italian Delight was the first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. They sell whole pies or pizza by the slice, or enjoy their classic strombolis, calzones, and sausage rolls. Sandwich lovers, check out their lineup of hot and cold subs, the combo, the meatball, or the Philly cheesesteak, just to name a few. And don't forget the pasta. Their famous lasagna and classic chicken Alfredo always hit the spot. And if you're hungry for lunch, check out their daily lunch specials, starting at under $10. Italian Delight can even cater your next work function or party. Dine in, carry out, or delivery, it's Italian Delight. Located just 3 minutes east of Kansas Speedway at 8145 State Ave in KCK. Check out the menu and order online at ItalianDelightKS.com. Kansas City's own Italian Delight. All right, let's talk about Vinnie Pasquantino starting to hit the baseball. Same thing as last year, right? Coming around. I think we all got really nervous when he left the game Tuesday with the back, and folks had seen him kind of with a wrap around his back. And so that's something to keep an eye on and to watch moving forward. But, he's approaching the Mendoza line, which is nice, right? Creeping up towards 200, but still the on base is there. He's drawing his walks, and we know the numbers are going to be there at the end. As long as he's healthy, the numbers will be there at the end. And I think when you saw the back, there was maybe reason to believe, well, maybe that's why the numbers aren't there, is because he's not healthy, but he was right back out there. So it looks like it was just kind of a minor thing, but something to watch. Big guys and backs are always a question.
Yeah, and I mean, it sounded like you have back issues, right? It sounds like one of those things that you wake up some mornings and it just hurts.
Yep.
And then you wake up the next morning, you didn't do anything different, and it's fine. And so, look, there might be some issues, but his last 8 games, but this is when calendar turns to May, and Vinny turns into a viable big league batter. 346, 455, 731 in 33 plate appearances. It's a small sample, but in my opinion, I think when players start to have a pattern and they follow that pattern, you believe it. So I buy it. He had some good swings today that weren't his. That fly ball to dead center that was a really good swing. And I don't know if maybe I'm getting older and struggling with this. I am being fooled by balls off the bat on television way more than I used to be. And maybe the field mics are better. And so it just sounds better. I don't know what it is, but he had that ball to center, and I thought, oh, that's gone. No, that's on the warning track. But it was still a good swing. And he's had more of those recently. You don't want to celebrate outs too much, but it's okay when they're hitting 350 in their last 8 games. You don't get too upset about celebrating those outs.
Right.
But he's gotten back to being Vinny, and Salvi's been better too. The power hasn't been crazy for him, but he's over the Mendoza line. The OPS he's actually 30 points behind Vinny. Vinny's at 633 and Salvi's at 604, which the fact that that's an improvement shows how down they were. But Vinny's been fantastic. My worry is, and this, I don't want to turn this into a Salvi conversation, but Salvi looked terrible at first base in Oakland or in Sacramento. My God. I'm going to say Oakland.
Well, you had a guy on the roster that, had played first base in like college and maybe the minors.
So that's an interesting, we can get way too far into this, I bet. But with Caglianone's improvement in right field, and that's where he's going to play when Vinny's healthy, do you mess with that and put him? I think you do if Vinny's out on the IL, but if it's 2 days, I don't know that you do. I can see an argument to leave him in right field because he's developed. He's a pretty good right fielder. I mean, this is not he's holding his own.
Salvi at first base has looked serviceable over the years.
He had, but those two, and maybe it's that he hasn't played there because I think those were his first 2 games at first this year.
I'm fine.
It was bad.
I'm fine with doing, and I was looking through Salvador Perez because we're going to talk about platooning a little bit later on, and his kind of numbers are just kind of everywhere. For his career, he hits both. Right. Yeah. But like this year he's hitting lefties and not righties. And last year he hit righties better than lefties. And, but I'm fine with doing whatever it takes to get your best bats in the lineup while appropriately resting the old players, which is basically Salvi. Okay.
Yep.
So I don't want to get away from what you've talked about, that he's better after having not caught the day before. And so I want to do that, but if Jack Caglianone can't go play first base, why? Is it?
Yeah, that's a fair question.
You don't really believe what you're seeing in the outfield is real, and he literally needs every rep, to which I'd say, well, then why wasn't he getting reps in the outfield? You had to have seen this as a possibility. I mean, you drafted him. You had Vinnie Pasquantino on the team then. I don't understand why the outfield thing just became it's still – I'm baffled by – how you got to the big leagues, or really he got, 2 weeks from the big leagues or a few weeks from the big leagues, and they started playing.
Yeah, it was 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah,
whatever it was. If that was your thought process, assume success when you drafted him. Did you think it was going to take 5 years for him to get to the big leagues, and that Vinnie Pasquantino would no longer be under team control? So that whole thing just irritates the holy living piss out of me about how that has all happened, because I really, really think this organization does almost everything really right. And so that one I don't get. To me, Jack Caglianone, I'd be able to go to first base, or is he terrible at first? Is that what is that what this is? That the catcher plays a
we were told he's a good first baseman, but we haven't seen it because Vinny's been there. So I don't, it's a good question. I don't know, but it's funny. Salvi's been hurt and caught very little. You know what he's hit? But coming into today, he DH'd. It was the day after he got that day off. That was the day off heard around the world. He DH'd on the 19th. Coming into today since then, 306, 320, 490. Weird that he's hitting when he's caught, let's see, 1, 2, 3 times. He's caught 3 times in those 50 plate appearances. Didn't catch today. I don't think he had a hit today, but he did score the run. No, he did not have a hit, but so the numbers are a little bit lower. I haven't put them all together from today, but he's hit better, not catching every day. Weird. I know it's hard to imagine.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how they divvy up the numbers here as we move forward. How good is this bullpen on this road trip? I put the numbers together. They have overall collectively as a bullpen 20 in the third innings, 11 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned, 7 walks, 18 strikeouts, and they've given up 1 home run. They're 3-0. They have not had a loss. They've won 3 games, gotten the win in 3 of them, and saved 4. They have an ERA of 1.77, and they have a whip of 0.885. Lucas Urseg, by the way, who we were really starting to question, has gone 3 times on this road trip, 3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, none earned, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, and has 3 saves. 3 of the 4 saves are his. Daniel
and a great post-game interview.
Yeah, I mean, to his credit, at least he apologized.
Did you real quick before we get it? Did you see the press release that Royals.tv put out?
No, because I've been running all weekend.
It was. I'm going to read it really fast because it was phenomenal. It said, press release, we're aware of the use of the colorful language at the end of last night's broadcast. We wanted to take this opportunity to assure fans, he kind of said it best, no notes, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal unless,
No.
but it has, I mean, Joel said today we've had the F-bomb, a shit, and a ass, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, what was, I think, I don't know, did he tweet that or did he say it on the, I think he said it on post game. And,
might have been pregame. Yeah, either way.
The colorful language. And listen, there's a time and place. I'm a gigantic fan of profanity. Love it. It's, but there's a time and a place, and it's
if I could make every word profanity, I would.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's but you know, and they know better. And I think something will be said, you know, in that clubhouse. But anyway, I mean, the bullpen, like, we're about ready to punt it. We're calling it the problem, and this is the issue. And I think Daniel Lynch, to the point that was made earlier, Daniel Lynch has been a big part of this. I mean, he has really helped steady it. He's given him a guy that, you know, other than one time out, he's been great. You know, I like I said, there's still not the lights out power bullpen. What did I say? 18 Ks and just over 20 innings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But 11 hits, 7 walks, 18 base runners in 20 innings. I mean, they've been really, really good. And there are some really good hitters on the A's and Mariners.
Yeah, they've been great. You know, I go back. Let's go 3 more games to the Angels series because they were really good in that Angels series. 29 and 2/3 innings, 16 hits, 29 strikeouts, 14 walks. The walks are still high, but that's over 9 games. And what I think is intriguing about this is Nick Mears has looked much better. I think the walks are a problem with almost everybody. The walks are a problem. Let's just get that out of the way. But Nick Mears has been good. Lynch has been incredible. He gave up 2 on Friday. Whatever. He got the win. He deserved to get that win, by the way. It was kind of karma. It was kind of like the game last Sunday when Seth Lugo didn't get the loss after he hadn't gotten any wins from giving up nothing. Lugo deserved to be let off the hook. Lynch deserved that win. But I'll tell you what excites me. Luinder Avila yesterday, he came out and, you know, you watch these games and you see these pitchers come out and you're like, I've never heard of this guy, and he's throwing 99. And obviously we've heard of the Royals pitchers because we're Royals fans and we watch them and we evaluate them. But it's Avila came out and looked like the guy you see from other teams. 98, 99, that stuff was absolute filth. And it solidified to me that he's a reliever. I don't think you worry about him in the rotation. He's never succeeded as a starter. I mean, it's never been exceptional. I get it. You want that stuff in the rotation. If he can throw 6 innings every 5th day with that stuff, great, but he hasn't done it. And so you start to add those back up, and the bullpen looks a whole lot better when you don't need Alex Lang to pitch a big inning because you've got 5 guys ahead of him. And I'm really curious. And I have a theory here on Carlos Estevez, but I'm really curious what he looks like. It sounds like he's going on a rehab assignment on Tuesday to Omaha. And I love that he's going to Omaha because velocity readings are public in AAA. Mm-hmm. And if they were worried about his velocity, we'll see if I'm right. But if they were worried about his velocity, they would put him in AA because you can rehab anywhere and nobody questions it. But everybody's going to be able to see what he's throwing in AAA. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. And let's say he is last year's Carlos Estevez. Put the bullpen together for me. Does he go right back into the closer role, or is that now?
I don't think so. I think you ease him into it a little bit. Urseg has really settled in, and he had those. He walked a guy in 6 straight games, and he looked. I don't want to say done, because the stuff was still pretty good. He's still not getting a lot of chase. I have a couple theories on that I don't think are right, but I'm going to keep pushing them, because if they are right, it makes me look good. But I don't think he throws his slider in the zone enough. And so when a hitter picks it up, they know they don't have to swing. I think he's got to throw some strikes with it, because he's not getting any chase with it. But after some struggles, 6 straight games of the walk, he was outstanding on Friday. He was outstanding on Saturday with the runner on second base. He pitched well. He gave up a couple on what was that the opener in Sacramento? I guess it would have been. He was good then. Like he's been a lot better, and it seems like he's kind of righted the ship a little bit. Last earned run he gave up was that game against Baltimore that blew the 1-0 save. And you could argue then that he got Pete Alonso to swing. I think that those check swings could have gone either way. Not that it takes away what he did, but I think he's righted the ship. So no, I don't think, and I think JJ Picola said this today somewhere, but I don't think you put Estevez right back in the 9th inning. I think you work him back in and you figure it out. And I think Urseg is the 9th inning, and Estevez goes into that setup role. And if Urseg falters again, you've got the guy who led baseball in saves.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting what they do, because I'm sure Estevez is of the mindset that he's the closer. And so if he's right, I think he's going to want it. I mean, I just think that's the mindset that those kind of guys have. I
hope he wants it.
I think it's the mindset definitely that the Latin player will have.
Yeah.
But
also all the reports on him is that he's just a phenomenal clubhouse guy. And so I think, and this is where managers actually earn their money, not deciding who hits 5th or 7th or whatever. If they want Urseg in the closer's role and Estevez to work his way back to that in the big leagues, which maybe that's not the way it works, but if that's what they want, sit down and have that conversation and make it work for him. Like that's where you managing people. And that's more important, I think, than almost anything else.
All right, we want to talk about Cole Ragans, as he is night and day, the difference between home and away. We'll talk about that after you hear from our friends at Greenlight.
Greenlight Dispensary, voted Kansas City's best dispensary and your go-to for quick, convenient service. With 4 locations across the Kansas City area, we're never far away. Our drive-through and express windows make it easy to get in, get out, and get on with your day. Our award-winning service is powered by a team of experts dedicated to making your experience seamless and enjoyable. It's no wonder we've been voted the best. Convenient locations, fast service, knowledgeable staff. That's the Greenlight difference. Visit us today.
Gann Asphalt and Concrete is looking to grow their team. If you have heavy construction foreman experience with heavy equipment, asphalt or concrete labor, or just want to learn a new trade, contact Gann Asphalt and Concrete to join their team today. Top of the market pay, company provided insurance, and paid time off and holiday pay are just a few of the great reasons to join Gann's expanding team. Learn more about this great opportunity with Gann at GannAsphalt.com/careers. That's GannAsphalt.com/careers. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots. Oh, look at that commercial. Those parking lots are perfect. Crying out loud. Absolutely perfect. Thanks to our friends at Gann.
They do such good work.
They do fantastic work. And they're great people, locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. They are great. Let's talk a little bit about Cole Ragans. You want to explain to me what's going on there, why this is happening the way it's happening? I mean, at home,
I don't know.
What's amazing to me is at home is his ERA is 0.75. And he's got a whip of 0.833. Those are exemplary numbers, obviously. On the road, 7.97 ERA, whip 1.820. Okay. But have you seen the batting average on balls in play?
Yeah, it's
At home, where he's dominating, they're hitting 364 on batting average on balls in play. And where he's having his problems, they're only hitting 182. It's because he's walking the world.
Yeah.
When he's not at Kauffman Stadium. That's what's so bizarre about it is the walks are on the road. I mean, at home, he has thrown 12 innings, given up 9 hits, just 1 earned run, walked 1, and struck out 19.
In 12 innings.
In 12 innings, 19-1 strikeout to walk ratio. On the road, in 20 and a third, he has given up 17 hits, 18 earned runs, 9 home runs, walked 20, and struck out 22. Can you help me out here? Is it just small sample size, maybe just coincidence? The days he's been off, he's been on the road, but last year it was pretty even Steven, road and home.
Yeah.
This year
it wasn't a problem in 24 either, I don't think. I guess I should pull that up to make sure, but
we bring it up just because it's interesting numbers. My assumption is it's just a small sample size, and this is going to quickly level out between the two.
I think
hopefully
so
level out towards the home numbers, the good numbers.
You would hope that it doesn't go toward the road numbers.
Yeah.
And part of it is, look, that start in Cleveland, when it looked like he was going to throw a no-hitter and then got hit and ended up giving up 3 runs in 2/3 of an inning. That doesn't help, but it looks like you can easily explain it away as, oh, here are some outlier starts that just strung together, right? Like the Cleveland one, and then he came back against Detroit. He only gave up 1 hit in 6 innings, shutout innings, but he walked 4 and struck out 1. That's concerning. And the next start was the Yankee Stadium where he walked 8. Okay, that's kind of an outlier on walks. 8. That'll, when in a small sample, that'll bump the numbers. And then he came back and he had that phenomenal start against the Angels. 11 strikeouts, 1 walk, no walks, 1 run over 6. And then, he kind of got a little of everything in his start on Friday. Gave up 3 home runs, which not great. Struck out 8 and 5 1/3. That's really good, but walked 3, which not as bad as 8. But you kind of eventually it becomes a trend, and maybe we're there. But it does feel like, okay, these are some outlier starts that are kind of piling up, and they're not. One doesn't have to do with the other necessarily, but it is an interesting look that you've got one guy who looks like the best pitcher in baseball and another guy who looks like he should be DFA'd.
Yeah. I mean, it's bizarro world. My assumption is that if he can locate, period. And he should get away from the bad numbers should start to melt away.
I still wonder too, how much was the thumb impacting him for a couple of starts? Because the 4 walks and the 8 walks came right after he got hit in the hand. And then, again, he wasn't great on Friday, but that was one of those, he got hit by the home run ball, which the Mariners hit home runs. They do. It's kind of the way they score runs. So not that you like it, but I wonder a little bit if he was dealing with the effects of that for a couple starts. I don't know.
The fans that I hear the most from can't understand why Jack Caglianone never sits. Apparently he hit 50 home runs last year and batted 400. But I think the quieter he actually is doing better this year, right? He's got 3 home runs. One of them is against a lefty. The numbers, the slug, I think is pretty comparable as I was looking at it earlier, right? Am I right about that?
Yeah, it is. But keep in mind, when that few at bats, 1 home run is going to skew numbers. And he hit the huge home run. Don't get me wrong.
796 OPS versus right-handers, 685 against left-handers. Not awful, right? So, I mean, I think he's making his case to get to hit against everybody. But I think what might shock people, we wanted to put both young guys into this equation as well. But I think what might shock people is Carter Jensen's splits, right? Because he's got the better overall numbers. He's got an 857 against right-handers. He's got a 468 OPS against left-handers. I mean, I don't think people realize how much he is doing all his damage against right-handers. So what do you do with Carter Jensen? I mean, we've talked about giving Salvador Perez some time off. Like, how about a little more platoon, on that front, and particularly find your lefties. I think part of it is when they weren't hitting at all, he was the only guy hitting, and they're like, well, we can't take this guy out.
Right. Well, and the other thing too, there was a stretch, and I have to figure out how to manipulate the numbers a little bit differently, but there was a stretch when he was getting some hits against lefties. I mean, he's hitting 192 against lefties, but I think he's like 0 for his last 9, so that means he was hitting about 300 against them. That said, the next extra base hit Carter Jensen gets against the lefty will be the first of his career. They're all singles. And if you go back, and I never know how much you trust minor league splits. They're weird. The pitching isn't,
I agree.
You're not facing good pitchers, but the trend does continue. He hit 290 against lefties last year. Carter Jensen did, but a 371 slug. There's just no power, which is okay if you get your hits. He doesn't clog the bases. He still works some walks. So he's usable against lefties, but he's not the guy who's going to hit you. I mean, he looks like a 30 home run bat. I think we can agree on that. He's not that against lefties. That's not what he does. Maybe he will one day. And what's funny is Caglianone actually last year, I had it up. He hit 3 of his 7 home runs against lefties, but in like 30% of the plate appearances. So he had it last year against righties. He had a 262 slug, and against lefties, it was 377. He actually did hit better against lefties, but that's not better is relative. It still wasn't good. My opinion, I think the Royals got Lane Thomas for a reason. The Royals have Starling Marte for a reason. The Royals have Nick Lofton for a reason, although we'll get to that with India, but I think he probably more with Michael Massey on the platoon side now. But there's a reason you've got these righty bats, and it's to hit lefties. And I think you've got to pick your spots. And Lane Thomas platoons with Isbell, so it's not entirely fair, but I think you pick your spots to get those guys in against lefties. My opinion, probably not often both at the same time. I think that you pick one, you sit one, you play one. And then against the really tough lefties, they sit. And Vinnie probably sits too, honestly, if you've got the personnel. I don't know if they do right now. But you're trying to win baseball games. You're not trying to coddle egos. And if Starling Marte and Lane Thomas give you a better chance to win a baseball game, you play them. That's the goal. If they fall out of the race, yes, you play Caglianone and Jensen every single day against every single pitcher, 100%. But until then, your job is to win baseball games and develop them, but win baseball games first.
Yeah. By the way, I want to point something out that's going on in the chat room. Where was it? Kurt said, we need a Kaufman Corner night of the K, which I would agree. I mean, it's not about to happen. So just because there's a lot of things going on, outside of Kaufman Corner, I'll just say that we need to do it. And it's something we've talked about. So I do love that. And then I think the best part was, I wonder if Renee's on here watching, our buddy from Italian Delight. Where was it? Said, yeah, here we go. Said,
yes,
like you cater at a tailgate. And I can tell you that Kurt has been to Italian Delight because he said that'd be amazing. Love their stromboli and garlic knots because they are fantastic. The garlic knots, my buddy Renee comes over to my house to watch Chiefs games. And a lot of times he's bringing Italian Delight, and it is top shelf for viewing. So we'll see what we can do. I'll talk about it. I just wanted to mention that. I do think it's something we need to try to do. I don't know when we're going to get it done. It won't be anytime soon, but I see you talking. I see you guys.
Sometime this summer, we'll try to get it done.
Yeah, we want to try to get that done. We'll try to drag Randy's ass out here too. He's popping on with us from time to time, so we'll try to do it when Randy's here as well. I like this one. How about Kaufman Corner?
Yeah,
Lesky. Yeah, hey, listen, I always like a road trip. I think that would be a great one.
I love Chicago. I don't love Comiskey, but I love Chicago.
We, my wife's family, will do a vacation, and we were at Lake Michigan in a place called Michigan City, Indiana, which is really just kind of like when you hear about the Bears building in Indiana, there's a little bit of Indiana that touches Lake Michigan. It's good, neat little place. It was great. We had 20 some odd and multiple houses there, and so I snuck away. Me and my brother-in-law snuck away and went to the White Sox game, and we met Randy and Mark Carman. If anyone listens to the show, CHGO White Sox fan. It's done White Sox Post. over the years and everything. And we had a great time watching the Royals and White Sox. The Royals were there when we were there, and so our Royals crapped in their hat against a bad White Sox team. That sucked, but we had a great time. So not a bad idea. That wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. Anyway, so I want to mention that sidebar. We will work on that and try to get that done. But yeah, I love your point. I want to go back to your point about you're trying to win baseball games. This is a team that if all the pieces come together, and so you definitely want Jack Caglianone to be everything that you can envision him being. And so, doing whatever it takes to get him, if it's like, listen, he needs the experience against big league lefties so that he can become, this force of a left-handed power hitter. Okay, yes, that is part of the equation. But also this is a club that's trying to win a division. It's trying to go to the postseason. And it's a team that looks like it has, especially if the bullpen's going to be like this. And then if they go make a couple of deals at the All-Star break and add whatever it is they're needing at that point.
Bring Adam Frazier back.
It looks like a team that could really get something done. And so if that's the case, the goal is about putting the best team on the field. And I think for so many of us as Royals fans, so much of the last 30 years have been bad baseball. Let's be honest. It's just, the last couple of years, a 5-year window, 13 to 17.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to go back to the 94 for the only other time the miracle 03 season, which was smoke and mirrors, but otherwise, it's been bad baseball. And so we're constantly viewing our baseball team through the lens of getting them to what they'll be 2 years from now. Well, they're good enough now. We believe when you're picking them to win, they're good enough now. And so if Jack Caglianone is not good enough now, or Carter Jensen is not good enough now to swing the bat against lefties, and there's a better option, then it should be embraced. And this is not AAA where it's all about developing you. No, it's about the team and the wins.
Yeah.
So
my least favorite argument, they didn't draft a guy number 6 to be a platoon player. Well, you're probably right, but also they drafted a guy at number 6 to help the team win. And if he needs to hit against righties only, that's what he'll do right now. He's not technically a rookie because he exhausted his rookie eligibility, but this is his rookie season. No, they did not draft him to sit against left. Yeah, they did not draft him to sit against lefties his whole career. They drafted him in the hopes that he can hit 3rd or 4th for the next 10 years. I don't think he's there yet, and that's okay. It's fine that he's not there yet. A lot of players are not. Christian Yelich used to sit against lefties. Then he won an MVP a few years later. It's okay that they sit against lefties. I don't have any problem with it at all.
Yeah. Let's talk about Jonathan India. He's done for the year. What do we learn from his time as a Royal? And what does it mean for the rest of the season?
This is maybe a little bit mean. When they talked about him going to get that second opinion or going to the doctor's appointment or whatever, my first thought was,
never a good thing.
Well, right. You don't get a second opinion.
You should get them. When I say it's never a good thing for what they think is going on.
Right. Like I said, you don't get a second opinion when you like the first answer.
Yeah.
let's be real. But when they talked about that, my first thought was, I forgot about him. Literally forgot he was on the roster. So I think this has pretty much zero impact to the team on the field. I think Nick Lofton does everything India did, but maybe better because he's a better defender. You look back, they lost that trade. I don't care. I don't even know what Brady Singer's done this year. Brady Singer, he would have been better than Lorenzen last year, and with all the injuries, the depth would have been nice. But still, he's been better than Jonathan India. So they lost a trade 100%. If you say, let's think about all the trades they've lost, that was a bad one. It did not work out for them. The thought process was sound. The result was not. I think that I appreciate that they kind of went back to the well and made a similar trade. Isaac Collins is kind of similar player because I think the thought process again was sound. And Collins hasn't been great, but he's come around a little bit. Finally got his first hit on the road this week, which is good for him. that was a wild split for a while. But I don't think they're hurt at all by him being out for the rest of the season, other than monetarily. But I'm sure insurance is covering a good chunk of it too.
Well, I think this. I mean, is it a good trade? No, it's not a good trade. That goes without saying. But I still think that like right now it doesn't matter. But if Lofton goes down or Massey goes down, then it will
Sure.
matter, right? When you've got both of them, I don't think it matters. And as long as Lofton can continue to hit, right now is slash 258, 378, 355. The 378 makes you tolerate the 355 more. 355 slug, 378 on base. And he's diverse. I mean, we're hoping he'll be, maybe a Punch and Judy Ben Zobrist, right? Like that's what we're looking for out of him, and maybe he'll grow into being more. But I think a couple of things. One, they were active. They did try to make the offense better. They had depth of pitching. Their pitching has not suffered, and so that's been fine. I wonder what else they could have gotten, right?
I heard the market wasn't really there for Brady Singer. I don't know
That's
if you
what I
heard the
heard
same
too.
thing. So
I heard that was about what, like, if that deal didn't happen, like that deal was talked about for a while, right?
Yeah.
Before it finally did come to fruition. And so, for me, like I'll give him credit. And then the 8 million did like when I hear people bitch about him getting 8 million, are you paying for it? Like,
And
I
what
don't
did
hear
it stop
John
them from
Sherman
doing?
bitching,
Yeah.
so I don't like stop. Don't worry about that. I mean, and to me, I still think that the giving him $8 million, there was nothing wrong with it. Who else were you going to have that would give you depth on the infield? Who else were you going to get that in their career had multiple years over 350 on base? I didn't see this
Yeah.
the parade of players with a 350 plus on base percentage that you could get for $8 million. I just didn't see him. This was the only one. And so they paid the price to get him. Now he's not there, and now they have to lean on their farm system. Nick Lofton, it's time for him to be ready to go. Michael Massey, it's time for him to stay healthy and hit the ball over the wall. They need them to get it done, and at least they've got a platoon. I mean, I think this speaks to their depth, and they've lost their depth. That's what's happened.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's
If one of
not
them
it.
gets hurt, there is a problem.
But
Because I don't know what I mean. You're looking at Abraham. Well, he's not even a second baseman anymore. You're looking at one of the minor league free agents they signed, which is not great. But Indy wasn't doing great either. So I don't know.
well, we're going to pivot. We're going to pivot to the minor leagues here, and if the lesson it says to me is, I'd like to see this team start to get to where they're moving Brady Singer for prospects.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're not trying to finish off the big league club. I'd like the club to be done, and I'd like for when you go, okay, Brady Singer, a couple years control, this we can maximize our return right now. Let's trade him, and then go get you a good on-base second baseman that's in A-ball or double-A. That'll be here in a year or two. I'd like to see them, taking, buying more lottery tickets, trading Brady Singer for multiple minor leaguers, that you have multiple opportunities for one of them to click and be a stud, whether it's wherever it might be. And so that's the one thing for me is, it reminds me of when they traded Carlos Beltran. They had to get a third baseman. They had to get a catcher. They needed an arm. And so they ended up with, Mark T and John Buck. And because they had these positions, it was the only way they could, they had to find somebody for that. So when you're sent out looking for that, then, as opposed to, okay, we have this guy, what's your best offer? And we'll take any position. Just give us talent is what we want. You put it into the system that that's going to work better if it's minor leaguers. That's my takeaway from that. I'd like to see them get to there. But let's talk about Kylie McDaniel's top 10 prospect list, because I think it's interesting. If people haven't seen it, what do we go? 10-1? We'll go 1-10.
Yeah.
Josh Hammond, who was the second of the 2 first-round picks this past year. He's in single A. Kendry Churio, God's gift of pitching, as we hear it.
Pitched today.
Just recently turned 18 in single A. Blake Mitchell, catcher in high A. David Shields, the other pitcher you always hear with Kendry Churio, left-hand pitcher. He's in high A. Sean Gamble, that's the guy who they took first in last year's draft. Center fielder. He's in single A, and by the way, not hitting at all.
No.
Not hitting.
No, he's struggling.
I mean, striking out at an enormous rate. Like, it is scary how bad it is. Like, you're starting to go, what do we miss here with him? So I'm not even sure why he's 5. I guess it's because it's too early to completely tank
The tools are kind of off the charts. He's quick twitch, great bat speed.
I remember Bubba Starling had all the tools.
I agree. But I think the reason he's 5 is because you're putting him there. What is it? 30 games into his 25 games into his minor league career. I think that's why he needs to figure it out 100%.
Okay, then 6 is I'm going to take a shot on Gable Gomez, Angeibel.
I read this once. Hang on, let me see if I can find it. Wait, Angel Gomez is
Angel Gomez. Okay, center fielder. He's in the Dominican Rookie League. He's 17 years old, by the way. Carson Rocafort, the only guy in Double A, right?
Mm-hmm.
Center fielder. You've heard his name. Ramon Ramirez. You've heard his name as well. Catcher. He's in high A ball. Michael Lombardi, right-hand pitcher. I think from last year's draft, right? He is in Single A, and then Justin Lampkin, left-hand pitcher. He is in high A. There's one guy in Double A.
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing that jumps at you is there's one guy that's a top 10 prospect anywhere in the system that's in Double A or higher, and it's Carson Rocafort, and he's 7, and he's not getting any younger. By the way, it's time for him to be moving forward.
Yeah.
So, listen, you like Henry Churio being there. I mean, you like that there's some 17, 18s, and 19-year-old guys on there, but they're not. You like them a lot more when they're 20 and in Double A, knocking on the door of Triple A.
Yeah,
like that needs to continue. I like the list, but man, it just speaks to like there's no cavalry coming this year to help.
The upper level depth is bad, and that's everybody I talk to. We really like the Royals farm system, but they're not going to help this year and mostly next year. A lot of the guys, Jensen's up, Caglianone is up. So I think that you talk to people who evaluate young talent and you got to look at the major league system too, or the major league team as well, because you've got Caglianone for 6 years. You've got Jensen for 6 years. You've got Garcia locked up at 20. What is he? 26, whatever he is. So you've got some young talent at the big league level, but you're right. There's nothing coming to help. I'll be curious what happens. The Royals start to promote toward the end of May, I feel like. So we're about 3-4 weeks away from, Carson Rocafort's got to get up there to AAA. He's had a really good start to the season in AA after he was really good in AA. Strikes out a little too much, but he can go get it in center field. You go into next year and you say Kyle Isbell's gotten too expensive for what he is. And if his bat falls back to what it's been and he doesn't keep this up, Rocafort, he's a replacement right there. And it's, copy paste almost. But these guys need to get up there. Ramon Ramirez has been in the system for a while now. Let's see what he can do. I always look at, they're real prospects, but they are not real big league possibilities until they get to AA and succeed, in my opinion. The lower levels there's just too much variance in talent. I want to see David Shields in AA soon because he's not learning anything in high A. He's just not. And I think you're going to get there pretty quickly with Lampkin and maybe Lombardi too. If they can get these guys to AA, all the high A guys to AA, I think we're going to feel a lot better about this system, but they need to get there.
Well, that's what I was going to say is like if all the high A guys move up, halfway through the year and spend, or even sooner, like you said, they go up to AA. Now they're all on the radar.
Yes.
Right. Shields goes on the radar. Blake Mitchell goes on the radar. Ramon Ramirez goes on the radar. I mean, I don't think they're going to promote both those guys. I think one of them is going to stay back.
You're probably right. Yeah.
Lampkin,
although they've been promoted together in the past, so maybe.
Yeah. But and I think it'll be interesting to see what they do with them because clearly, I'm assuming they're trade bait.
Yeah, you would hope.
Don't you think? I mean,
I don't know. Here's the thing: if they're not, they need to move today or Tuesday. I guess they need to be playing a different position next week. And if they're going to try to fit them somewhere else, don't do the MJ Melendez thing where he plays third base for 9 games and then the outfield, and then you bring him up. Let's move him now. Let's see where they can play. Let's put Blake Mitchell at third or left or whatever. Let's put, I don't know that Ramirez could play anywhere but first. Probably. I mean, he's a sturdy fella. But let's see where they can go. But I do think that when they get to July this year and they're 3 games out and go, all right, we need this, this, and this. I think you got to look at the catchers as a possible way to get them.
Yeah.
It makes the most sense unless you say, look, we don't think Carter Jensen can catch. And then it's a different story.
Yes. Then. I mean, I do think that's one of them. Like, and I want to reiterate what we said last week. Bobby Wood Jr. had a tough rookie year. It all came together, and I think they need to just live with the growing pains of Carter Jensen behind the plate, and then they make the decision next year. I will say this. I think you need to identify whether a guy can or can't catch, whether a guy is in the dirt or in the outfield, and make those moves. Because Alex Gordon did it and made it look seamless does not mean everybody can move at the big league level. Okay? So, let's get away from doing it that way. But, to your point, I mean, because you're much more – Blake Mitchell becomes much more necessary behind the dish.
Mm-hmm.
If you're thinking in the back of your head, I'm not sure Carter Jensen can catch. If he can catch, then you're not going to carry 2 left-handed hitting catchers.
Right.
So, but look, he's got his batting average finally above 200, which he's been taking his walks, but he's now hitting 219, 485 on base, 500 slugged. He has
crazy.
30 strikeouts in 23 games and 32 walks. So,
he knows the zone.
If that clicks, I mean, he's worth a lot.
And it's a good looking swing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason Blake Mitchell went top 10. I know people didn't like the pick because high school catchers and all that, whatever. But the talent is, you can't deny that. The power is obvious. The ability to take a walk. There's some passivity in there that gets him to 3-2, and then you strike out. There's a little bit of Nick Prado, but Prado never walked like this. Some of the strikeouts are a result of he could probably stand to swing a little earlier in a count sometimes, but I'd rather coach him that way than have to get patience out of him because it's a lot easier to say, hey, swing a little bit more than swing less.
Yeah. So listen, right now you're kind of on the system, but the reason I want to do this is 1, Kylie McDaniel does a good job of it. And so to put it out there, but 2, it could look real different in a couple of months. I mean, the high A's get to AA, and if they're performing at AA, then you're knocking on the door.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
now you got some, and you have real pieces to deal. I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Shields, because I think Shields is going to be a guy that everyone's going to ask about Churio. I don't think they're going to offer Churio, but Shields to me is a much more dealable pitcher, just because he didn't have the top end velocity yet. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see if they are in the race, if they are in the hunt, who out of here will they put it in the mix? By the way, and Josh Hammond, we should point out, is really hitting. I mean, we talked about how Sean Gamble is not. Josh Hammond, only the 2 home runs, but 297, 387, 484, 14 walks, 9 doubles in 24 games. Triple, he's got overall.
And he's playing shortstop, which that's probably not his position. I mean, for a number of reasons.
Second base is what they talked about when he was drafted.
Second and third, yeah. The Austin Riley comps don't look quite as good with the way Riley's hitting this year, but there is some comp there. I wrote about this 2 weeks ago, maybe, I think it was, that I was talking to a scout who said, look, this guy might be a top 20 prospect at the end of the year. He does everything well. He's a really good player. So that's encouraging.
It's also encouraging that Brian Bridges knows what he's doing, because this top 10 list is pretty much all Brian Bridges guys.
Well, JJ traded the whole 2022 draft. We talked about that before, and now this is all his, and he gets the number 6 pick this year. So can help again.
Could be adding to the mix. Listen, you can always help us out by supporting our great sponsors like GAN Asphalt and Concrete. For more than 30 years, they've been solving parking lot problems. If you own or manage a business, GAN Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Call today for a free bid. Secure your spot. The calendar does fill up fast this time of year, so don't wait. Call 816-484-3338. Find them online at GANasphalt.com. Our friends at Italian Delight, the first to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City. 50 years years ago, locally owned and operated, whether it's their wonderful pizza. You can get it by the slice or enjoy the whole pie, whatever you want. How about the strombolis, calzones, sausage rolls? Sandwich lovers, their hot and cold subs, the combo, the meatball, or the Philly cheesesteak, just to name a few. Absolutely fantastic. Their world-famous lasagna, chicken Alfredo. It is great, just a few minutes east of the Speedway, 8145 State Ave in KCK. Look them up online at ItalianDelightKS.com. Get in there and tell Renee, hey, you heard about it right here on the Kaufman Corner podcast. And, of course, Greenlight Dispensaries, 15 locations in Missouri. More on the way. Greenlight, your go-to for all your cannabis needs. Tell them you heard it right here on the Kaufman Corner podcast. For David Lesky, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us.